Question number 7 says, find all the zeros of the polynomial, gives us that function. And it says, hint, one of the zeros is the square root of 2i. Write all the zeros in the box between the braces and separate each by a comma. And we don't have a graph here. We're not allowed to use a calculator, and there's no graph given to us. So one thing I do know is if one of the zeros is the square root of 2i, another zero is going to be a negative square root of 2i. We talked about how they come in pairs. So I know two of the factors of my polynomial are going to be x minus the square root of 2i and x plus the square root of 2i. And we need to multiply that out and find out what it comes out to. So let's do that. That would be x squared. And just remember, what's going to happen here is we can write it out, but that's going to be plus square root of 2xi. That's going to be minus square root of 2xi. And that's going to be minus square root of 2 times the square root of 2 is the square root of 4, which is just 2. And then I times I is I squared. So when you times those together, you end up with minus 2i squared. Well, those two in the middle just add up to be 0. They go away. And then the I squared changes to negative 1 times negative 2 is a plus 2. So when I times those out, I know that there's a factor of x squared plus 2 times something will give me this. Well, I've got to take this out now. That x squared plus 2 has to come out of here, so I know what this other factor is. So I cannot do synthetic division because of the x squared. So I'm going to come down here. We're going to do long division. I'm going to go x squared plus 2. I'm going to divide it into, and make sure if there's a missing term, you put a 0. I don't think this one has one. No, nope, it doesn't. Okay. So what do I times x squared by? Get x to the 4th. X squared times x squared times 2. Oops, I want to line that up with what it goes with. X squared times 2 is 2x squared. I want to line it up with the x squared. That's 0. Negative 3x cubed minus 5x squared. Okay, now we just start over again. What do we times x squared by to get a minus 3x squared? Be a minus 3x. 3x cubed minus 3x times 2. Okay, make sure you subtract them. It changes the signs. So 0. So if you want to put a 0x there, you can. But I think we're good because what I times x squared to get a minus 5x squared is minus 5. So you get minus 5x squared minus 10. Add them. And we get a remainder of 0, which is what we wanted, right? We know that if this really is a factor, which it should be if those are the zeros, that it should go into it evenly. So I know this last one is x squared minus 3x minus 5. Now we could try factoring that, but the factors of negative 5 add up to negative 3 don't work. So let's use the quadratic formula right here. So I go x equals a negative b, 3, plus or minus the square root of b squared, 9, minus 4 times 1, which is a, times c, which is negative 5, all over 2 times a. So 3 plus or minus square root 4 times 1 times, that'd be a negative 20. So minus negative 20 changes to plus 20. It doesn't say anything about simplifying. Square root of 29 doesn't simplify anyway, right? It's irrational. So those should be my other zeros. So it says write all the zeros. So if it says all the zeros, I think we're going to include the original one, square root of 2i, and a negative square root of 2i, and my other two over here, which is plus or minus the square root of 29. Sorry about that. Really quick, I am just going to write those down, and then we will switch over to the actual quiz there and put that in there and make sure we got all the formatting and all that so that it works right. Okay, so we want the square root of 2i. Make sure when you do this, we want the I outside of the square root. So make sure you hit the arrow over and the square root's not over the I. So comma, square root of a negative square root of 2i, comma. Then my first one comes out to be, what's that, 3. I'm going to go plus first. Square root of 29 all over 2. And then the next one is going to be the same thing, but now we're going to be 3 minus square root of 29 over 2. Okay. I think I got them all entered in there right. Let's just check and see what it says. Looks good.